Welcome back to the weekly recap of my Ribbon World live streaming series. My name is Nilaus and I'll be guiding you through what we've been doing on this live streaming series over the past week, so that if you are not fully updated, if you can't watch the streams, if you don't like watching the streams, here is basically a progress on how we're doing in the space, and just as inspiration on how we're doing. Right, in this episode here, what we really want to achieve, this is where we started off at the or ended up last time, and we have like a lot of small things, and we got our blue signs up and running, and it's really nice. What we're really working on at this point is starting to move out here. What we really want to do is move out and get these kind of things under control, and then work on yellow signs and purple signs. So that's kind of the next step up in the progress of any Factorio base, basically. So let's have a look at it. The first thing we want to do is, now that we have these locations cleared, we now have a lot of iron available, so it is a good idea to take this and make it into a new iron smelting facility. Then we can then feed the iron smelting back here, as our original iron is basically running out. So here we have now built this, and you can see it is starting to flow in here. It is basically my normal setup for smelting. It's going to go up here, we get the steel, we get the iron, 4 lines of each, and I think that's going to be like as efficient as we can get this. What we're going to grab it out here. One of the problems was that I want to get it into this location, but that's where I took my original iron ore. So now I've moved the iron ore over there, and I'm waiting for this train to go back. Now, and that is the essence here. I'll put it in here and drag it all the way down there, merge it together so that it supplements, and I'll be, of course, consuming this first. There's now 72,000. It'll get rid of that pretty quickly. As you also been looking at, if you want to follow this series, then I'm streaming this Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time over on Twitch TV/Nilaus. And well, I hope you want to drop by, because it's super fun and we have a lot of fun. Now, in the first episode, I also explained why there are bomb craters here, but just briefly, well, there are some engagement mechanics on Twitch, so that anyone who is donating and supporting will have an impact on the base. Subscribers will help extend the size of my base, which means now I'm really constrained, and that means I need to build really compact and make a lot more spaghetti than I like, which I think is a nice change. And also, these bomb craters comes when anyone does any donations, then bombs will drop on the base. Super fun mechanic, and just gives something fun to do there as well. Now, as we look at this, the main thing has been setting this one up, but that's not going to be it. What we need to do is make it sure that it goes into the trains, and then also continue working upwards to get some blue circuit, some advanced oil. This oil is still pretty bad, so let's walk on over here. We really think, and this is related to our constraint space, I think this is going to be oil processing, so we're probably going to need to move things around to get some advanced oil and better room for this, because this is making sulfuric acid, and the only things that need sulfuric acid is actually batteries and blue circuits. So that's all just going to be crammed in here, I think. So this is how I decided to make it. I make my standard refined oil processing plant, and it's ready to have modules inserted everywhere, so that's good. When that time comes, I've built a little blue circuit build. It's of course not going to do much, and especially since we are not really having enough green circuits coming in, so I had to move this up here, and the idea is that there'll be room for batteries at this point, so that the only things that need sulfuric acid will be here and here, and the only thing using sulfur will drag it out here. One of the next big things that we absolutely want to do is this bus part here. It's been built really rudimentary, but I think that at this point we need to accept that it's going to be here for these kind of things. At least over to this point, they will have the bus base, and then from here on it'll be more train based as well. And you can also see that here we have our iron and steel coming into trains. There are no trains yet, because I have not made room for them to get in here. What I have done is just set up a single location here that we can drop things off, so that perhaps we can retool this, because right now we're getting iron ore from this location in here to be smelted at this location. It's gonna put in more than I can actually support, and at this point this is down to 46,000, so it's gonna run out soon enough. I want this one to run out so we can replace this and then bring iron and steel directly in here. But that's kind of longer term. This is working fine until that one runs out. As it runs out, that's going to be the next part. What we really want to do now is actually start up some copper smelting, because you can see copper is also running out, and it's kind of, this is the only copper we have, and that's why the green circuits are not keeping up. And as we've just built some blue circuits, we're going to need a lot more greens. So I think, oh no, so look at that bomb. It's 35% of a nuclear bomb that drops down here. And it takes out a pretty sizable chunk already at this point. And the robots will just run in there and start fixing it as fast as they can. This was a very harmless one, just took out some bus. It's really more problematic if it takes out stuff like the hub. It'll always be near me. Anyway, let's run on forward and look at what we need to build. I think we'll stay here, because this is where we want to build the first thing in terms of making batteries. Because the reason for us to build batteries is, well, it's kind of necessary for yellow signs eventually. But it's also, more importantly, it's necessary to increase our power, so we can stop relying on burning through a lot of coal at this point. Last thing to mention is that 2 new locations have spawned, a new coal deposit here and a new uranium. I cannot say how lucky I was. Those are the best possible outcomes, not the best possible locations, but best possible outcomes that could ever be dreamed of in terms of output here. What happens is that if there is a hype train level 5, you can either choose to increase the bomb size, or you can choose to get some new ore patches, and they will be spawning randomly with some weighted chances. There's 1/36 chance of a uranium spawning, and that just happened. And I really also needed some stone, because out here we don't have a lot of stone, and we're going to need to sort of bridge all the way across with lots of landfill in order to even get to the next stone. So this was incredibly lucky and super nice. Also nice that it wasn't increasing the bomb size. So let's have a look at what we can do in terms of batteries and that kind of thing. We have the batteries built, and also built a few accumulators. As you can see up here, I have stamped down all of these complete here, and that means we are now getting a much more, a much better build here. Right now it's still solar panels and then transition into steam engines at night, and currently accumulators are not being used at all. I will need to set up so that I stop the steam engines at night once I feel I have enough accumulators on the map. I don't feel I have that just now, so that's still gonna wait a bit. What we can do here is we can now see that the batteries are working. That's also nice to have batteries. What I'm then gonna do is look at this. I am just making a tiny bit of yellow signs, and I built a low density structure build here so that we can do that. Because what I can do is I can take my blue circuits that I already create, I can leach some robot frames, and I can leach some some low density structure. I can put it in here, and then as we do that here, there we go, then I can just have a small production of yellow signs. Why do we want yellow signs? Well, I really want to get the portable fusion reactor. That's the most important thing, because I really don't feel that a power armor is worth anything without a portable fusion armor. So that's going to be one of the next things we have right now, a power armor, but we don't have those items yet. It's just research. So we'll be upgrading into a power armor now, and that means we can also start getting some small robots as well. That's really nice. Last thing is that the steel train is actually operational. We now have a steel train that goes in, and that goes straight through here, and that replaces all the steel production, because we're not really getting a lot inbound here. We are almost out of the iron. A couple of more summaries, then we will be out. And of course we have the copper now as well. Is the copper coming back? No, the copper is not coming back yet, but that's one of the things that I'd really like to do. So let's see, now that we have the copper, I mean, I can't really get it back because I am constrained by the space, so we're going to wait for more subscribers. When that comes in, then we will be able to finish this build and then wrap it up and get that back here. And with a few more subscribers joining, we got unlocked a couple more fields out here, and then we have room for wrapping it up and bringing it back. We don't have a train here at least, but we do know that it's there. The reason why we don't have a train is quite simple, that I don't really feel like I have the room for building unloading stations. What I can do and what I will do is actually building unloading stations down here for iron, copper, steel, stone, stone bricks, and probably not coal. And then bring it in here and build a better location. So that's going to be like the more long term, so that instead of this the hack thing here where we start leeching, then we'll have more content production out here in the world. That also allows us to scale up, because by scaling up this way, I'm able to build dedicated locations, bring it back here at in bulk, maybe even green circuits at some point, so I don't have to build it in this location. And what we also have is we moved our red and green signs over here. That means we've taken out the explosive builds, because I don't actually think I need it. I built a lot stockpile of cliff explosives, and once that's done, then we don't think we're going to need any more. And if we do it, it's way later, so we don't need to have a build for it right now. That gave a room for us to mine the uranium and put it into some production here. Not a lot of storage, not a lot of uranium-235, but I'll be picking up so that I always keep 42 in stockpile, and then I can burn through the rest as I like. The 42 in stockpile is for, of course, it's actually not 42, it's just 40, for starting up the Coverx once we get that. But that's long time until we have that. Here we have still our little hacked production of yellow signs, and as you can see, we are burning through the yellow signs and trying to get up to a power armor Mark II. That's going to be super helpful. So that's basically where we are here, and some of the next big things that we want to do is actually working on something that's more of an infrastructure build, and that is, now that we have iron, steel, copper being produced remotely, let's wrap them back here. Also, copper is also running out, and iron is very much running out, so it's about time that we get something in here. As we replace this, it's also time for us to update the bus so that it just works a bit better and looks a bit better. That's definitely going to be the next thing on the agenda. We've now started on the build for the unloading stations. As you can see here, we're getting the steel in here, and it's merging it together with the previous one. I'm going to need to let this one retire because it's not the right place. The right place is to have it from this location and going in. Then we have the copper. The copper now is able to feed in. You can see that it's just now established, and this will go in here. So the idea is that the copper here will now replace. It won't replace this one just now, because of course it can't. But also, even with a lot of speed modules on this part, we're just barely getting anything. But it's 33,000, and it's going to be gone soon. This one's also going to be gone. You can see that I've stopped bringing things in on this line. Well, have I? Yes, I said it's a train limit to 0, so I want to exhaust this line just by processing here, and then we can gradually replace it with the iron coming in. What I'm also starting to do is making a layout here for what I want on sort of a new revised bus setup. I'm going to constrain it so that I have enough space here, and this is just basically like 2 lanes of copper, 1 lane of stone bricks, stone, plastic, red, 2 greens, 1 coal, maybe, 1 steel, and 2 iron. That's the setup. So what I need to do now is really just start reprocessing this and start moving things around. So it's going to be a lot of moving things around. And in order to sort of gradually transition, basically it's just changing all the parts while the base is hopefully still operational while we do this. That's going to be like the next major process here. More progress is actually done now. What you can see is we start seeing the formation here, 2 copper. All of these are now red lines as well. 1 stone brick, 1 stone. We have the red ones reversed here. We have the green ones coming in at this point, the iron, the steel. Everything looks to be almost working here. That's really nice. Of course, there are some problems on the inbound side. We are getting the iron here, and the iron will now need to go into this location. We can now start retiring this part. The only thing we have left is, well, we completely used up that part. That's good. And the only thing we have left is 10,000 copper. So that 10,000 copper still has to process through this one and then get fed into here. So we'll need to make a new green circuit build, and yeah, so we can get that in. And right now we have iron, steel, copper, and this one will be eventually a combined stone bricks. But right now we still have 49,000 here, and we don't have this one tapped yet. At this point, you can see we have this area available. What we really like to do is start getting started on the next level, because once we get ready on the next level, then we can start building a nuclear power plant, just a bit of it at least, and that's going to be a massive step forward. We're going to start at this location and take a look at the new build, new green circuit build. Look at how glorious it is. It is consuming 3 belts of copper, up to 2.5 belts of copper. It's kind of a lot, and the output is almost, I think it's almost 2 full belts. It's not quite. Let's do that one. That's 48. So it's making 48 per second of green circuits. That's quite nice. And we're still burning through the last bits of this, 2.2k of that. What you can also see is now we have pretty much the full build. I'm needing one more set of legs to run even faster. And look at how fast we go. Look at how fast. And what we can also see is like the bus is now fully, well, way better structured. That is really nice. We still have the uranium processing just chugging along. Nothing there. But as we now can more easily run from one end of the base to the next. By the way, the bombs have increased in severity to 40%. So that makes it all the more dangerous. Over here, we now have built the first part of a nuclear power plant. As you remember, we've now pushed back, thanks to support from new subscribers and donations, or it's not that, but subscribers and gift subs. We've now pushed back, and there's now room for a little nuclear power plant over here. And it's glorious and it's ready to go. And what we just need is to make some uranium processing. One of the parts is that as soon as I set this up, it'll start working. Well, that's kind of how it works. And I'm actually running, on the one hand, I don't want to have this just keep burning through uranium when I don't have Corex. It's kind of iffy. You can do that. It's not a big deal, especially if it's only like four nuclear reactors. But on the other hand, well, if I don't need it, but the thing is, I do need it. If you look at this, you can see that it is actually being needed here. The steam engines or the accumulators are going in, but the accumulators are going to be discharged before they actually can go in. You can also see here, it's sufficient, and then it falls down when the batteries are full, and then spikes up because we've enabled some new things to work in the base. And we're actually going to a point where we are going to use way too much power. So it is time for us to get that nuclear power operational as soon as possible. Next thing to build is, of course, getting started on the nuclear power. But first, we are going all the way back here. And the robots can't keep up. Sorry, robots, I'm running away from you. And you can see here, the initial copper is finally out, and we're replacing it so that we can get rid of it. Though it's just a bit more that I need to get rid of. That is glorious. So that is great. What we really want to do is now working on better yellow science, because really it feels like yellow science is the time for us to build it. We have over here, we had our robot rush built, but now it's restructured into, this is making low density structures, and is now a better build up here for building well yellow science. And then also have any excess we have will go up here and become more robots. So we have a pretty decent amount of construction robots, and man, do we need it, because every time I try to build something, there will always be bombs dropping left and right, such as what is happening now. And that's always gonna disrupt our operation. And I'm just gonna step away so that my robots don't get entangled in the relief effort there. And if we look at the map, this is 50% now, so this has increased as well. 50% of a nuclear bomb is getting completely destroyed. There was also a spawn up here for more coal, so that's really nice as well. What we are working on is now getting this yellow science, and that means we are going to get through all of the yellow science that we want, and then it's only a matter of looking towards the purple science as the next part of our build. But the thing is, we still do not have any nuclear power, because right now we are still just processing as much as we can. How much do we got? We got 81 here, plus I have 42 in my inventory. So I feel pretty confident we can start the nuclear power pretty soon. So we have this basic 4x4 or 2x2 nuclear power. Let's have a look at getting the nuclear power operational. Right here, we're working on upgrading the copper smelting from yellow belts to red belts, and also to steel smelters. It's going to be a coming concern that copper is constrained. This is the only copper we have available, 2.7 million, and that's all we can mine, and there's nothing else, and there's nothing else in sight either as well. So we're going to get the absolute maximum we can out of this, and because you can see it will go in here. So that will be a going concern as If you're an accountant, you will call it a going concern. What I've done here is I have made a really weird build for, well, this is my standard build for purple signs, but it is weirdly placed. I just realized at this point that in order for me to build purple signs, I needed iron, I have that, steel, I have that, stone, I have that, stone bricks, I have that. So this was like a perfect place to just chuck it in here. The only thing missing was actually the red and green signs, circuits in order for this. So all I need to do was drag a single line from our bus for red and green circuits. That's what we got here. And the rest was sort of built nearby. What this also means is that now I have stone bricks and stone getting onto a shared train that will be able to go back. It is currently not going back because this is still available, but the idea is that it'll replace this station. This station was a temporary effort I had in order to try to get this iron ore moved back here for some smelting, but it's not actually a great idea. What I want to do instead is, as you can see here, drag it in and then feed it into these lines. It's actually better to feed it into the steel lines, and that's what we're going to do, because as we start working on the purple signs, well, steel is always going to be consumed in stupid quantities. Once you start purple signs, you will not have enough steel. That is a given. But at least, hey, we got some purple signs. I'm just putting it into a box, and that box is getting dragged back by robots. It's so low quantity that I feel that robots transporting them is not really a problem. What we can also see is that we have our nuclear power. Let's run on over. We don't have any bombs in queue, so that's not dangerous. I can go over here. It looks great. Now, unfortunately, what is going to happen between this episode and the next sort of this part is that I'm going to idle here, and then a bomb is going to drop and take out our entire nuclear power plant. So as that happens, it actually turns out that we now have more space in order to make it a better nuclear power plant. So as it has to be rebuilt, why not rebuild it properly instead? Look at this horror show of a base. There are just trees everywhere. And that's one of the events that can happen, is that the winner of the hype train can choose to spawn trees everywhere. It is just horrible, isn't it? Look at how disgusting our base is with all that nature in our beautiful industrial base. Psh, damn. But the good thing is, if we can ignore the forest, encroaching forest, then we have a nice big fat nuclear power plant here, producing 800 megawatts of power, just like that. I think this is absolutely glorious, and in the size, we can also see that we are pushing further out here, so we can start working on the next city block. And what should we do out here? Well, there's a lot of coal here, so maybe that's the time for us to make coal liquefaction. Now we can see here is one of the big issues. The copper is being processed as fast as possible, but if we look at how fast it actually is, it is only producing 36 per second, and that means our entire base is constrained by 36 copper per second. And it will be no surprise to anyone that that's going to be insufficient here. This is consuming more, I don't know, 60 or something. And down here we have it. Well, it's also like lots and lots of things that require it. So we have big issues. What we can see here, what is actually the most issue with is this one, the stone smelting, and that's because we only have 7.6 available here. So what we need to do is we need to reprocess this one into doing stone bricks. But I think this is a great place to sort of wrap it up, because if you look at it, we have managed to complete yellow signs, we managed to complete the purple signs, we now taken over this area. We are now harvesting all the materials we have available, except that one. But that's lots of iron, lots of stone, lots of copper, as well as taking the uranium and also going in here. We don't have the Coverex yet, but it's working on the Coverex so that we can be more efficient on it. And well, we have nuclear power, so at this point power is stable, science is chugging along, all the resources are available. We are going to be we're ready to take the next step, sort of leap up the ladder. But we do have some looming problems, and one of them being, well, spacing. The other one is a big issue in terms of, well, lack of oil. But the biggest one is right now is how do we get more copper out of this facility? And those are all questions that need to be answered as we progress up to the first rocket launch. This series is not going to end with the first rocket launch. Don't worry. I really want to push it out here and see how far we can get and build a bigger base. And just try to sort of keep making it bigger as and just scaling it up because we're so constrained that I can't build things right the first time. So there's a lot of sort of reiteration all the time, which I absolutely love. I hope that you love this series as well, either as watching it on Twitch. I'm going to mention it again. Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Central European Time. And it's on Twitch TV/Nilaus. Or if you can't or don't have the time but you want to watch it, you can also watch the VODs of the live streams on my secondary channel. It's called Nilaus TV. There's a link in the description below or on my front page here on YouTube. So you can always watch all the VODs from previous live streams there, from all the games I play, if you just, the time zone doesn't fit for you. And of course, if you're not interested or you want to catch up, then that's why we have this series, so that you can catch up here or be sort of updated on what's going on in a clear and efficient manner. Hope that was useful and interesting and entertaining. I will hope to see you in the next episode or over on Twitch or on Discord. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take care, and as always, stay effective.